This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
October 26, 1961, Lexington, Kentucky. A 19-year-old college student is studying on the campus of Transylvania University. She says goodbye to her 3 good friends and the house mother of their dorm just before midnight, but she will never make it home. Hours later, her body will be found inside her own car on campus, brutally strangled with her own bra. There was no sexual assault, no robbery, and seemingly no clear motive. Police interviewed hundreds and revisited evidence over and over. There were arrests and rumors there was even a murder trial. But 65 years later, the murder remains officially unsolved. Was her killer someone she knew, or a stranger no one will ever know? This is the last night of Betty Gail Brown. Hey y'all, I'm Chris Calvert.
And I'm her husband, Rob Pottorff. Welcome to Hitched to Homicide.
For better or worse.
Till death do us part.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, welcome. And Scotty says welcome if he's trying to lick my nose. And for our friends in Belgium, bienvenue.
Very nice.
And we're being nice about that because they did beat us in the World Cup.
That's why I went Belgium.
I know.
Couldn't help it. Well, wherever you're listening, be sure to like, rate, and review Hitched to Homicide. And then go out and tell all your friends to share it. You guys share it. Yep. Why, honey?
Because sharing is caring and caring is
love.
There you go.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you want true crime with us all the time, please go to Facebook and join the In-Laws and Outlaws. It's our closed group. Just go to Facebook, type in H2H, In-Laws and Outlaws, answer a couple questions. You are in.
It's that easy.
We got lots of new people.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
There you go.
You can find us on Instagram at Hitched to Homicide or on X at H2H_podcasting. We also have a Buy Me a Coffee link if you want to send Rob a cup of coffee.
Yep. What do you think, Scotty? You want a sip? No.
You can also send us a message that is at the bottom of the show notes where it says, send Chris and Rob a text or a message.
Yes.
Well, honey, this one is old and cold.
Just like me. No, I'm kidding.
But it's a great case right here in my hometown.
All right.
Before we get started, let me thank some sources. The Lexington Herald Leader, Facebook, the Transy Rambler, Southern Mysteries, Wikipedia, and Menthol Mountains, just to name a few. I had to go deep into the old newspaper archives for this one.
Sound like Jack Nicholson. Old
Chris.
Old Harry. Okay.
He says hair. Old hair.
Hair, that's right. I forgot. All right. What? Yeah, I digress. Are you ready?
I am.
Please, let's do it.
Elizabeth Abigail Brown, she goes by Betty Gail, was born on May 4th, 1942, just 2 days after Shutout won the Kentucky Derby in the middle of World War II.
Wow. Okay.
When I saw her birth date, I was like, I wonder if she was born on Derby Day. Just 2 days after.
Gotcha.
Her parents are Hargis and Quincy Stanton Brown.
Hargis.
Hargis Taylor and Quincy Stanton Brown. Her mother, Quincy, her mother was Harry Dean Stanton, the actor, who was from Kentucky. That was her brother.
Oh, wow.
So for Betty Gail, it was Uncle Harry.
Wow.
She was born in Richmond, Kentucky, and she's an only child. Her father was a lieutenant colonel in the Army, and he was actually born in Harlan, Kentucky, so way eastern Kentucky.
Okay.
Her father was stationed in Fort Thomas, Fort Custer in Michigan, and Fort Knox in Kentucky. I'm doing this mostly for Rob because he's really into World War II information.
Yeah. Well, if he was in Michigan, that's where my dad did boot camp.
Well, they might have known each other.
Yeah.
Her father served in 6 major campaigns in Europe, including the Battle of the Bulge, Luxembourg, Frankfurt, Germany, and into Prague and Czechoslovakia. He had a Purple Heart, a Bronze, and a Silver Star, and 65 major campaign ribbons.
Listen, if he did Battle of the Bulge, man, he's lucky to even survive that.
Exactly. He was an education major, and he graduated from the University of Kentucky, and he would go on to become an insurance salesman for Metropolitan Life after the Army.
Okay.
Betty Gail's mom was an interior designer, so an early working woman. You go, Quincy. There's not much information on Betty Gail's early life. She grew up in the heart of Lexington, Kentucky on Lackawanna Drive, which is near the Kentucky campus, as well as the oldest and first institution of higher learning west of the Allegheny Mountains, Transylvania University.
Oh, yeah.
We call it Transy for short here in Kentucky. Transy was established by an act of the Virginia Assembly in 1780 and supported by the governor at the time, Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Transy's actually formed before the state of Kentucky is formed in 1792 when we become the 15th state.
Oh, wow.
And if you're wondering why they named it Transylvania, it's named after the Transylvania colony, which was an 18th century settlement in the heavily forested region of western Virginia that later became part of the state of Kentucky.
Oh.
And in Latin, Transylvania literally translates to across the woods.
And instead of them coming across in the boat, they just flew over because they were vampires.
They do have a very fun Halloween season at Transylvania University.
Yeah, they do.
I've got one more little tidbit of history. The Transylvanian Land Company of 1775 was a pioneering group of settlers whose chief scout was Daniel Boone.
Really?
Yeah.
Daniel Boone was a man, was a big man.
With the coonskin cap?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know the rest of it. I just know he wore a coonskin cap.
Yeah, exactly.
Betty Gail graduated from Lafayette High School in Lexington, I believe in 1959 or 1960. It's the same school that my dad graduated from in 1955. So theoretically, he could have been a senior and she could have been a freshman all at the same time.
Wow.
In high school, she was a member of the National Honor Society, Beta Club, French Club, the Charmettes, Student Service Corps, College Club, Girls Choir, and she was secretary of the Interclub Council of Y Teens.
That's all? That's all she did?
That's all she did.
Jeez.
And
What a slacker.
What a slacker. And when she graduates, she's accepted and enrolls at Transylvania University as a French major. This is a highly selective school, and in 1961, there were 550 students.
Wow.
That's it. You want to guess how many there are right now in 2026?
556.
1,006
Oh, really?
enrolled students. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, she doesn't live in the dorms on campus. She still lives at home with her parents on Lackawanna, which again is super close to the campus, straight down what we call Nicholasville Road, which we now call Nightmare Nicholasville Road because Lexington has outgrown all of its roads. It's traffic everywhere.
Well, and the thing about Nicholasville Road, just to let everybody know that it depends on what time of the day it is, because it's, how many lanes across is it? Like 6? And it depends on what time of the day is that the green lights
The lanes change whether you're going into town or out of town, depending on if it's rush hour in the morning or rush hour in the evening.
And when I first moved here, I probably killed myself maybe 3 or 4 times because I never knew which way I was supposed to be going.
Yeah, it's really easy to, especially when it switches over at a certain time and you're like, oh no, I'm about to have a head-on collision. But
Exactly.
I was in the right lane and now I'm not in the right lane.
Yeah, anyway.
In the fall of 1961, Betty Gail is a sophomore at Transy. She was bubbly, she was bright, she was very active on campus. She was a member of the Phi Mu sorority. She was a member of the Pep Club, and she taught Sunday school at Central Christian Church, where she also sang in the choir.
Once again, just a big slacker.
She dated, but in the fall of 1961, she didn't have a particular boyfriend. On October 26th, around 7 p.m., Betty Gail told her parents she was heading to Fourier Hall on campus to study for a biology exam that she had the next day, Friday, October 27th.
Okay.
She was wearing a white blouse, Bermuda shorts, a sweater, and a beige raincoat. She arrived at the dorm at approximately 7:15 p.m., and joined 3 fellow female students at their all-girls dorm for this study session.
Okay.
Now, in the 1960s, students had a curfew. Betty Gail needed to be out of the dorm by 11 p.m. Anybody who didn't live in that dorm needed to be gone.
Gotcha.
But around 11 o'clock, she asked the house mother, Mrs. John Combs, if she could stay until midnight when the building closed so she could keep studying with the other girls. And Mrs. Combs agreed. And I thought that was funny. So they didn't have RAs, right?
Right.
They had house mothers.
Sort of like sorority houses.
Yeah, my sorority house had a house mother, Mom P.
Yeah.
That was her name.
Yeah. And what's interesting, too, is that when I was going to college, I went to Ohio University first, there were still male dorms and female dorms. It wasn't co-ed at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, my freshman year, I was in an all-girls dorm. Yeah.
I was in the Men of Lincoln Hall.
The Men of Lincoln Hall.
It was, too.
There it is. Just before midnight, Betty Gail walked to her blue 1959 Simca, which is a cute little French car. It's in the driveway across from Fourier Hall. It's a circular drive which enters the administration building area of the campus.
Okay.
And her 3 girlfriends and Mrs. Combs watched her cross the street and get into her car. Then while she's sitting in her car, fellow student Charles Risden, who had just dropped off a girl at Fourier dorm at the same place she had just left, he sees Betty Gail sitting in her car. So he pulls his car up alongside hers, and the two of them chatted for a few minutes about all their upcoming exams. Now, these two, according to Charles, both left campus at the same time, and Charles said they drove north on Broadway to 4th Street, then went east on 4th to Upper Street. He turned into a parking lot there behind the men's dorm, and he watched Betty Gail drive south on Upper, which would be her way home.
Okay.
When Charles last saw her car, it was 12:05 a.m. She's no more than 15 minutes away from home, and at midnight on a Thursday or the wee hours of Friday morning, there couldn't have been that much traffic on the road.
Right.
It's 1961.
Yeah.
The road's way smaller than it is now. It's 2 lanes, basically.
Yeah.
But by 1 a.m., Betty Gail isn't home, and her mother is worried. Now, there are differing stories, even in the newspaper at the time. I think first Betty Gail's mother gets in her car and drives to campus looking for her. Then she drives back home, and she calls the hospitals in the area. And when they don't have Betty Gail, Quincy, her mother, gets back in her car and drives to campus one more time. And she drives all around the campus looking for Betty. She's driving around, according to her, for an hour, just looking for signs of Betty Gail or her car.
Right.
And her mother drives home at 2:30 a.m. and wakes up her husband, Hargis, and she tells him something's not right. And they call the police. It's just before 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Moms know.
Moms know.
Yeah.
And Quincy gets back in her car after they call the police. She gets back in her car and she drives back to campus to continue looking for her daughter. Now, the Lexington police put out an all-units broadcast, that's what the newspaper called it, for the missing college student Betty Gail. This is when Officer Donald Duckworth, can't make that up.
No way.
Officer Don Duckworth.
Oh, that poor guy.
He's responding to the broadcast and checking all the campus locations. And this is when he finds Betty Gail's blue Simca parked in the circular half-moon driveway in front of Old Morrison Hall, which is basically the centerpiece of Transy campus. It's the big administration building.
Okay.
It's 3:05 a.m. Officer Duckworth sees the blue Simca parked there, and then as he gets closer, he can see Betty Gail in the car through the window, sitting in the driver's seat. Her head is tilted back, and her bra is wrapped around her neck. According to him, he knew she was dead.
Wow.
Officer Duckworth calls for backup, and he doesn't touch the car. Now, she's still wearing the clothes she had left home in, white blouse, Bermuda shorts, a sweater, and a beige raincoat. However, her blouse was unbuttoned, though it was still tucked into her shorts, with the top two buttons still open. And there's a piece of her bra lying in her lap. She has a mark on her forehead where she had been slammed against the dashboard with such force that a letter from the car's Simca dashboard decal was imprinted on her skin.
Ooh.
And there's blood on the dashboard, consistent with her head impact. Her scalp was torn from where someone had jerked her head backward by her hair, and she had several cuts and scratches around the left side of her neck and chin. Now, while more police are arriving, Quincy, Betty Gail's mother, on her third trip to campus to look for her daughter, parks in front of Fourier Hall, and she can see the house mother and the girls huddled at the door. They knew what had happened. And according to Quincy, she knew something bad had happened because of the looks on their faces, these girls and the house mother.
Yep.
She tries to get into her car, but this is when a police cruiser pulls up and the officer says, "Mrs. Brown, get in." And she asked him, "Have you found her?" And he said, "Yes, we found your daughter." And when he tells her this, his chin is trembling. This is an account by Quincy herself.
Okay.
She gives an interview to the newspaper, and this is the account she gives. And she says this officer's chin was trembling. And Quincy asks, "Is she alive?" And he said to her, "No, ma'am, your daughter is dead." And this is when Quincy says, "Don't tell me anymore."
Wow.
She gets in the car with the officer, and he drives her home, where they both tell Betty Gail's father what's happened. Meanwhile, back at the crime scene, Coroner Chester Hager arrives at 3:40 a.m. He sees what everybody else does. By the way, there's a published photo in the newspaper of Betty Gail, and you can see her in the car. It's unbelievable. I don't know who okayed that in 1961.
Well, that editor should have been shot.
It wouldn't fly in 2026.
No.
And the world is such a different place now than it was in 1961.
Yeah.
So Chester notes that there's no skin particles under her fingernails, and aside from one broken fingernail, no significant defensive wounds, suggesting she may have been rendered unconscious before or during the strangulation. Now, I think she probably got her head smashed against the dash and it dazed her, because there are signs of a struggle other than the obvious mark on her face and the laceration where her hair had been pulled. There was damage to the interior light on the driver's side. And in addition to the blood on the dashboard, there was blood on the window next to the body. Beside her car, in the car seat,
Right.
there were textbooks and a notebook. And these are completely undisturbed. 3 of the 4 doors of the car were locked. The only one that was unlocked was the front passenger's door, which had a malfunctioning lock that couldn't be secured. And Betty Gail knew this. She had one lock that didn't work.
Okay.
Betty Gail's purse was found intact and undisturbed. Inside, no money was taken. It was inside the car, no money. Her IDs were there. All her personal items were there. So robbery was formally ruled out as a motive.
Right.
The killer had taken nothing of value and left no obvious motive. Now, her car keys were found in the back of the car in the floorboard, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Upon autopsy, they had to rule out sexual assault. Even though she was strangled with her own bra, there were no signs of rape, and Betty Gail was actually menstruating at the time. Chester Hager, the coroner, believes, based on the autopsy, Betty Gail was murdered a little after 1 a.m. Now, they processed the car for fingerprints, and there were only 3 identifiable sets: Betty Gail's mother, Quincy, her father, and a mechanic who had recently worked on the car. They make no mention of Betty Gail's fingerprints in the old articles, but I'm assuming that was assumed that her fingerprints were in the car.
It's her car.
The police do find a partial, unidentified palm print, and this was documented in the original case file, but they do nothing with it. The immediate response in the community and the university was that it was front page news in Lexington, but also all across Kentucky.
Yeah.
A man named Robert Lawson has written a book on this murder, saying the homicide, quote, just captivated the whole city of Lexington, the whole state of Kentucky, end quote. We're going to talk about him in a little bit.
Okay.
The Lexington Police Department assigned at least 25 detectives and officers to the case. They were working around the clock. And by November 1st, 1961, the police were mass fingerprinting all 223 male dorm students at Transy. And then they gave them all polygraph tests.
Oh, really?
They did this with the students and the male faculty members, too.
Wow.
But no females. I found that odd.
Yeah.
The investigators obtained Betty Gail's personal diary. Now, it was written partly in shorthand, which kind of complicated it for these police officers who didn't know what it said. And they interviewed every person she had dated during her time at Transylvania. And according to Mr. Lawson, it was, quote, a pretty significant number.
Yeah. She was a popular girl.
She was popular.
Yeah.
Now, polygraphs were given to several of the guys that she went out with, but none of them became viable suspects. The police are just stumped. Then about 2 days after the murder, after Betty Gail's photograph had appeared in local papers, a waitress at a restaurant near campus came forward claiming that she had served Betty Gail and another woman between midnight and 1 a.m. on the night of the murder. Now, the lead generated enormous speculation, including persistent rumors that Betty Gail may have had a female companion that night. And this waitress said that Betty Gail had a cup of hot chocolate, which she was apparently known to drink, and the other girl had a cup of tea. And this waitress ID'd Betty Gail's clothes from that night at the police station.
Okay.
She said that she knew by the, quote, big brown buttons, end quote, on the raincoat that it belonged to Betty Gail. She also identified the Bermuda shorts and a pair of socks as Betty Gail's. So they take this waitress who never gets a name in the newspapers, nor does the drive-in place. The only drive-in at the time that, and I looked it up, there were two. One was the Parquet, which was a big college hangout, and a Jerry's drive-in on Limestone. And these two restaurants were part of what I read was the, quote, Beltline Cruise, end quote. These two places are 2.2 miles apart, and teens and college students would hop from one location to the other in just a couple of minutes.
You know, I think every small town has the cruise. We had one up in my little town of Sydney, Ohio, and every Friday night you were just doing that big circle all the way around.
Yeah, well, the big circle was New Circle Road, which is pretty big in Lexington. Yeah. It was very new at the time as well, and they did call it the Beltline. My dad, who's 88, still calls it the Beltline.
The Beltline. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the police take this waitress to Kerr Brothers Funeral Home while all these other college students are there for Betty Gail's visitation or the funeral. They want to see if she can spot the other girl that she was with. Yeah. And she does positively ID Betty Gail, who's in her coffin, but she can never ID who Betty Gail was with that night. And then the police said she couldn't positively say that she saw Betty Gail the night of the murder. And eventually the police sort of let this lead just die. They just let it go.
I wonder why she changed her mind on when she actually saw her.
I don't know.
That's weird.
I don't know. But I guarantee she was either at the Parquet or Jerry's.
Yeah.
And the fact that they left out her name and where she worked was pretty interesting to me because it was 1961.
Sure.
They name everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do it with a lot of flourishes.
Well, it's like Thelma's aunt from out of town came in to visit. Yeah. There was still that going on in the newspaper.
While she was taking care of her cat and the neighbor's dog. Yeah.
Yeah. There was also a female classmate who broke down in sobs at the funeral home when she saw Betty Gail's body, saying, quote, "I know who did it. I know who did it." But when the police questioned her, she said it was only a theory and said, quote, "I won't tell you who I think it is because if I'm right, okay. But if I'm not, no one will ever know," end quote. To which I say, get this girl a polygraph.
Yeah.
But I don't think they polygraphed anyone but the male students and the faculty at Transy.
Well, it was 1961, so, they didn't think that females actually committed crimes like that.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a Transy worker who quit the day after the murder and left town immediately. This drew some suspicion, and investigators pursued this lead but never identified him as a suspect. For the next couple of years, the Lexington police try to follow up on any and all leads they have, and over the course of 1962, they went to Michigan to interview a student who left Transy the day after the murder. They went to Atlanta to question another campus employee, and then to New York City, where they were following up on a tip of a cross-dressing Transy alumni who had a thick stack of newspaper clippings about the case a year after the murder.
Really?
I say cross-dressing. He was arrested for cross-dressing in New York City. That's how we know he was a cross-dresser, because apparently that was against the law back then.
Gotcha.
I mean, now that's just, that's the Village.
That's Uncle Bill.
That's the West Village, right?
Yeah.
When they questioned the guy in New York City, they discovered that the clippings were sent to him by a fellow alumnus who lived in Lexington. So someone was just keeping the dude in New York City abreast of Betty Gail's investigation. So they let that lead go.
Okay.
The police even looked at Quincy, Betty Gail's mom. There was a rumor that she had caught Betty Gail with another girl making out, and she'd strangled her own daughter in anger.
Oh, jeez.
But Quincy submits to and passes with flying colors a polygraph.
Sure.
The Lexington police even brought in Dutch psychic Peter Herkos in June of 1962 to help them. Peter worked as a psychic detective, and although he couldn't come up with anything for Betty Gail's murder, he helped assist in the 1964 Boston Strangler case and the 1969 Manson murders, where he said a bearded man named Charlie was responsible.
Oh, wow.
But in 1964, Peter was arrested for impersonating an FBI agent. So was he really a psychic, or was it all research and parlor tricks?
Right.
Still, he had nothing on Betty Gail's case. By the time 1964 rolled around, Lexington police had exhausted every known avenue, and the investigation into the murder of Betty Gail Brown went cold. Until one day in early January of 1965, while living in Klamath Falls, Oregon, a man named Alex Arnold Jr. confessed to killing a girl in Kentucky.
Really?
Alex Arnold Jr. was a Lexington native. He was born in 1931, making him 30 years old at the time of the murder and 33 at the time of his confession. He had served in the Korean War, after which he struggled severely with alcoholism. He had served time at the Kentucky State Reformatory in LaGrange. He had worked as a horse groom, which is a really common occupation in the Lexington area because we have more horses and more barrels of bourbon, I think, than people in our state.
It's true.
He had a string of public intoxication arrests. Critically, at the time of Betty Gail's murder, he lived just one block from Transylvania University. He left Lexington sometime after October 1961 and eventually drifted to Oregon. On January 16th, 1965, the Klamath Falls, Oregon Police Department arrested Alex Arnold Jr. for disorderly conduct and public intoxication. The court fined him 25 cents.
Oh. 25 cents?
25 cents for public intoxication.
Okay.
But he didn't have the 25 cents to pay.
Oh, man.
So they took him to jail.
Wow.
And within days after not having alcohol and near the end of his third day in custody, Alex began suffering from delirium tremens. tremens, delirium tremens, DTs.
Gotcha.
The acute alcohol withdrawal syndrome.
He's got the DTs.
He's got the DTs. And if you've ever seen somebody going through this, it is scary.
Yeah.
Scary. He told the jail staff he was planning on killing himself. Apparently, he was even talking to the toilet paper in his cell. He saw spots and creatures crawling all over the wall. And while under 24-hour suicide watch, he told a jail employee, I think it was just a random person working at the jail and not a guard, he says he needs to confess something. So this person finds him a detective. And when the detective comes to hear this confession, Alex says, I think I killed a woman in Kentucky. Her name is Betty Gail Brown.
Oh, wow.
And he says to him, remember, he said, I think I killed a girl in Kentucky. So the detective is like, did you or didn't you?
Right.
And he says, well, I'm about 99% sure. 99%.
Why is he not so sure? I mean, was he drunk? I mean,
he was drunk.
Okay.
Now, word reaches Lexington. Lexington detectives flew to Oregon within 1 day, and they were at the jail 4 days later on January 20th. A Detective Carter conducted an initial interview of approximately an hour and a half. By his own account, Alex Arnold was, quote, visibly upset, noticeably trembling, easy to perspire, very nervous, end quote.
I'm sure he was.
A second interview was conducted the following morning, and Alex was described as, quote, visibly calmer, end quote. It was at this point that Alex signed a detailed written confession dictated and transcribed by Detective Carter, which Alex Arnold Jr. signed under oath. In the confession, he describes this following account. He had spent the evening of October 26, 1961, drinking at his favorite bar in Lexington, becoming heavily intoxicated. Looking for somewhere to sleep it off, he first went to Gratz Park, but left because a couple was there. Rob and I got married.
Yeah.
In Gratz Park.
Yep, we did. Wow.
In an old pre-Civil War home that was actually used by the Confederate Army and the Continental Army as a headquarters at one time or another.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, really pretty.
Yeah.
But he leaves Gratz Park because there's a couple there in the park. And he wandered onto the Transylvania campus, and he found a place to lie down, and he fell asleep. He was awakened by the cold after about an hour, and he finished a bottle of wine he had with him and walked toward Short Street. And as he passed Old Morrison Hall, he sees a blue car parked in the circular driveway with two women inside who appeared to be engaged in a sexual embrace. They were making out. He approached the car. He knocked on the window, asking for a match to light his cigarette. And as he's walking by, he decided maybe these girls will give me a light. He had cigarettes. He didn't have matches. Right. So he asks them for a light.
Okay.
And they began screaming and cursing at Arnold. He walked by, but they kept yelling at him, and this made him angry. So he went back, opened the door, grabbed the girl on the driver's side by the back of the neck, and slammed her head into the dashboard. The other girl got out of the car and ran. Alex then said he got scared that he would get caught. So he climbed into the back seat of the car, spotted a bra already lying in the front seat, then grabbed it and strangled Betty Gail Brown with it, placing his hands on each end of the garment and bracing his knee against the back of the seat for leverage.
Wow.
She quivered but did not fight back. He then noticed her blouse was unbuttoned. He tucked it back into her shorts and buttoned it, explaining that he did not want to be charged with rape. He wiped his fingerprints from the dashboard, locked 3 of the 4 doors, and walked to the apartment of a woman named May Hedges, where he had a drink of whiskey after he's already wasted, and told her, quote, I just killed a woman, end quote.
Oh, wow.
He said the whole thing felt like, quote, a dream, end quote. Now, Arnold's statement about his certainty was notably hedged from the very beginning. He told the first detective he was 99% sure that he had killed Betty Gail Brown, not 100%.
Right.
And this confession will be the entire case when it comes time to prosecute Alex for the murder of Betty Gail Brown.
Okay.
Alex Arnold Jr. was extradited to Lexington, Kentucky, and charged with the murder of Betty Gail Brown. And this is where we meet Robert Lawson, who will go on to write the definitive account of this case. Robert is right out of law school and is working in public defense in 1965, along with attorney Amos Eblin. And Robert is about the same age as Alex, so they wanted him to co-counsel because they thought he would be able to relate to Alex better.
Sure. Right.
And Robert is not only going to go on and write a book about this case, he's also a highly respected expert on the rules of evidence. Well, I say an expert. He's the principal drafter of both the Kentucky Penal Code and the Kentucky Rules of Evidence.
Oh, really?
And he's going to end up being a professor at the University of Kentucky College of Law.
Okay.
Now, while doing trial preparation, Robert discovers the written confession omitted key details that Arnold had originally stated, details that were actually inconsistent with the physical evidence at the scene. And these discrepancies had just been filtered out, just edited out of the final written document.
Yeah, we don't need these. Let's just keep going with the confession.
Yeah. For example, Alex claimed he locked the car doors using buttons, but the Simca's doors could only be locked via the door handles. There were not interior buttons. That 99% sure qualifier was also omitted from the final written document, from the final confession. Furthermore, much of what appeared in the confession as insider knowledge had already been published in Lexington newspapers in extensive detail in the days following the murder. Alex Arnold was known to have discussed Betty Gail's case with other people before confessing. And when Alex meets with Robert and Amos, they advised him to enter a plea of guilty, a legally standard strategy that forced the prosecution to present independent evidence rather than relying solely on his confession. And Alex spent nearly a year in the Fayette County Detention Center awaiting trial.
Okay.
The case was rescheduled for trial multiple times before it finally started. During his pre-trial incarceration, Alex began to shift his position from 99% sure he had committed the murder to expressing doubt to eventually denying it altogether. His account of where he was that night also changed. By the time of the trial, he claimed he was at his aunt's home. And this is a story that his aunt corroborates. Yeah, he was with me.
Well, wait a minute. What about that the lady or the girl that he went to see he had the whiskey with? Did he ever talk to her?
I don't know. I didn't see her name anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Lexington and Kentucky as a whole became newly riveted. This case had been front page news in 1961. Alex Arnold's confession put it back in the spotlight in 1965. The trial began in late October of 1965, and the courtroom was packed. It would last for 6 or 7 days. There is no transcript of this court case. The court reporters took shorthand, but transcription was only completed if a case went to appeal, which this one never did.
Really?
So the primary source record is Robert Lawson's own notes and the documentary record he compiled for his 2017 book.
Well, that's certainly changed today.
Well, thank God he had such great notes. He had copious notes, and he could go back and write this book from it.
Sure.
The prosecution's case rested almost entirely on the confession. Detective Captain Gilbert Cravens testified that the arrest warrant was issued because Alex Arnold, quote, mentioned certain things that no one would have known except someone who was there, end quote. And prosecutors argued the confession was corroborated by the frost on the car. So Alex Arnold claimed that he woke up from a deep sleep near the car, and investigators confirmed that frost had formed on her car that night, which was consistent with his timing of saying he woke up.
Right.
The forehead wound and blood on the dashboard. Alex described slamming Betty Gail's head into the dashboard. Officer Duckworth and Coroner Hager both testified to the wound and the blood. The bra around her neck. Officer Duckworth testified the bra was still around her neck when he arrived, with a piece torn off in her lap, consistent with Alex's description of the method of strangulation. The buttoned blouse. Alex claimed to have tucked her blouse back in before leaving. This was consistent with the unbuttoned but tucked in state of Betty Gail's clothes.
Was that, let me interrupt just for a second, was that stuff known to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
All in the newspapers.
All right.
They also said that Alex's proximity to the murder scene was there. Investigators were able to establish that Alex was in Lexington, living 1 block from campus on the night of the murder, and had frequented bars in the vicinity of Transylvania University. The prosecution maintained that a guilty man had confessed and that the cumulative weight of the confession's accurate details only a participant could know, was sufficient for conviction.
Unless he had a newspaper.
They had no physical evidence, no fingerprints, no fibers, obviously no DNA, directly linking Alex Arnold to the scene, and they acknowledged they could not establish a motive. Well, the defense's case was just a multifaceted attack on the reliability of Alex's confession. First off, Alex gave the initial statement while in the grips of alcohol withdrawal. He was in the middle of DTs and having suicidal thoughts. His mental state at the time made the confusion inherently unreliable.
Okay. The only thing I have to say about that is, why of all things would he, in the throes of all this, when he probably thought he was going to die, because I'm sure the DTs...
Or he wanted to kill himself.
Yeah, exactly. Why would he pick that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then they said that the newspapers were the true source, because much of what appeared in the confession had been reported in detail in the Lexington newspapers immediately after the murder.
Right.
And Alex lived in Lexington at the time and was known to have spoken to other people about the case and could have constructed a plausible account from public sources. Then there are all these errors, these factual errors that are left out. The defense argued the written confession was selectively edited, omitting details that Alex provided that contradicted the physical evidence, most notably the door locking mechanism. Alex described locking the doors with buttons that didn't exist on the Simca model, and this detail, which undermined authenticity, was not included in the document detectives had him sign.
But
they
see,
took
here's
that out.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. You can't have it both ways. I mean, yeah, he's a drunk, so he's going to get certain things wrong. Or you're saying he's a drunk and none of this happened. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Then there's the 99% qualifier, because Alex never claimed absolute certainty.
Right.
The qualifier was omitted from the written confession and was brought out at trial to cast doubt on the reliability of the admission. And then there's his aunt, because Alex's aunt testified he had been at her home on the night of the murder. And finally, there was Alex Arnold's own testimony. They put him on the stand, and Alex delivered perhaps the most confounding testimony of the trial.
Really?
He stated, quote, "I didn't kill her, but I'm not sure of that," end quote.
Oh. Okay.
When pressed by defense counsel in their final conversation before the verdict about whether he actually committed the murder, Alex said he did not believe he had. And the trial, in Robert Lawson's own words, was effectively, quote, "the trial of a confession." The confession itself was the entire case on both sides. So just like you said, in the end, the jury had to decide if they believed Alex Arnold or not.
Yeah.
Because there's no physical evidence, there's no fingerprints, no wine bottle that Alex claimed to have had, no fibers, no forensic link of any kind connected him to the car or to Betty Gail's body.
Right.
Then what nobody saw coming was Betty Gail's parents, who'd spent 4 years desperately looking for answers, publicly stating during the trial that they did not believe Alex Arnold had killed their daughter.
Really?
They testified in his favor and urged the jury to acquit him. They believed the confession was false and that the real killer remained free.
Huh.
But who's this other girl Alex Arnold is talking about, right?
Yeah.
So being gay in the 60s was surely frowned upon, and many thought Alex had thrown in the kissing the other girl just to tarnish Betty Gail's reputation. And she had a lot of boyfriends, and I think allowing Alex to be guilty for her parents meant that his story was true, right?
Right.
So his parents are like, he didn't do it because she wasn't in the car with another girl making out.
Okay.
Yeah. The jury deliberated for 6 hours and 45 minutes, and the 12 of them were deadlocked. The vote was 7 for acquittal and 5 for conviction, which is not even close to the unanimous verdict required for a conviction or formal acquittal.
Right.
The judge declared a mistrial, and the Commonwealth attorneys never prosecuted Alex Arnold Jr. again.
Wow.
He just walked out the door.
See ya.
Now, there were some rumors circulating around at the time. So, in between Alex confessing in Oregon and coming back to Lexington and the time of the trial, Alex told Robert Lawson that Quincy came to see him in jail and told him that he did not kill her daughter. Yeah.
Interesting.
Again, if he's the killer, then their daughter is a lesbian.
Yeah.
After the trial, Betty Gail's parents praised the attorneys on both sides and released a statement as to how grateful they were. In 2010, police suspected that a serial killer named Noel Roy George may have murdered Betty Gail. He was a killer who never sexually assaulted his victims, and he never took money from his victims, and her purse was in the car untouched.
Right.
And he typically strangled his victims with a piece of their clothing, underwear, pantyhose, but he actually was in jail at the time of the murder, so they dropped that. By 2026, you'd think they could use some of the evidence they collected that night, like Betty Gail's bra, to conduct DNA testing, right?
Sure.
They destroyed all of the evidence from this case.
Oh, my God.
They basically have nothing but Robert Lawson's memory, which he uses to write this book on Betty Gail's murder. It's called Who Killed Betty Gail Brown? Murder, Mistrial, and Mystery. Now, there are many who believe because the keys to her car were in the back seat and all the doors were locked with the exception of the one that the lock wasn't working on, the passenger front side, that the killer was in the back seat at some point, waiting on her, rather than approaching from the outside, like Alex Arnold said it happened in his 99% sure confession.
Right.
So here we are 65 years later, and we still don't know who killed Betty Gail Brown. Now, a lot of speculation has gone on. Why didn't she have her bra on? What was that all about, right? Well, I know lots of women, when they're leaving to go home from work or as soon as they walk in the door from work, they get that bra off.
Right.
And they take it off without taking off their shirt.
Sure.
And Alex said that the bra was laying in the seat.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so it wasn't just thrown somewhere like she was in the throes of passion with somebody. And I don't think that she was with a girl, or if she was with another girl, I don't think that they were making out.
Yeah.
But we still don't know who killed Betty Gail Brown 65 years later.
Wow.
And we never are, because they destroyed all the evidence. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, well, once again, I mean, it was the 60s and early on, and that wouldn't happen today.
It wouldn't happen today. I absolutely, it wouldn't happen today. And all the information wouldn't go in the newspaper like it did in 1961, because obviously the police hold things back so they can figure out who's real and who's not real.
Yep.
But it's crazy to me. Both of her parents have passed away. They moved to Florida. I did see where they moved to Florida and retired. She didn't have any brothers or sisters. That was their only child. But all these years later, 65 years later, we don't know any more than we knew back then. And according to Robert Lawson, maybe Alex killed her, but maybe he didn't.
Yeah.
He can't say for sure either.
Right.
But that is the unsolved and cold case of Betty Gail Brown, And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, here's my take on everything.
What's your take on Betty Gail?
My take on Betty Gail is that the police helped create the perfect crime.
They did. They did.
Wow.
Well, between the police and the Lexington Herald-Leader and the reporters.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are pictures. There's so many photographs of this. I will post them all in the In-Laws and Outlaws. It's crazy. And you have to see this picture of her in the car to believe it, that it's in the newspaper.
That's just...
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that they would...
They would do that.
Yeah.
But, I guess they were trying to sell papers. They wanted to be the ones that scooped it more than, the Cincinnati Enquirer or whoever else was trying to... The Louisville Courier-Journal.
Not much has changed today because if it bleeds, it leads, right?
If it bleeds, it leads. Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right. Well, let's move on from that and do a little bless your heart.
Well, bless your heart.
All right, number one, I'm calling Now That's Ingenuity.
Now that's
Yeah.
ingenuity.
A woman picked up for shoplifting in a Tennessee Walmart earlier was apparently no newbie to the stealing scene.
Okay.
Per an affidavit from local police seen by USA Today, the 37-year-old suspect, identified by WREG as Ashley Cross, was arrested on Monday at one of the retailer's Memphis stores shortly before 4 p.m.
Okay. I love Memphis.
Yeah. The arrest came after witnesses say they saw Cross and a companion stealing from the store. Now, that sounds like any other shoplifting case, but here's the kicker. Per the affidavit,
What?
Cross was captured on camera at one of the Walmart's self-checkout machines, whipping out an old battery barcode to scan all of her items for just $1 each.
Oh.
Props for ingenuity.
So she was scanning something, but it wasn't what she was taking with her.
No, she had a $1 barcode.
There you go.
Nicely done, right?
Good Lord.
All right, number two. Row, row, row your boat. Jefferson County, Washington, KIRO7.
Yes.
Boy, I'd hate to work for that station. We've never been able to say it. Reported that an incident took place Tuesday morning when a homeowner called 911 over what he said was theft of about $11,000 worth of gold and jewelry from a storage container.
Wow.
He told authorities that the perps were a man and a woman dressed in black who left the scene in an SUV with covered license plates. Yep. The homeowner even hurled firewood at their vehicle to get them to stop. A window is said to have been shattered, but the suspects got away. Deputies in Kitsap County eventually found the flipped-over SUV, which had crashed near Port Gamble.
Wow.
Yeah, though the suspects had, by then, they had fled on foot. KMO notes that deputies then sent up a drone to track them down.
Smart.
Yep. And it was soon spotted them
thinking.
in reportedly a stolen rowboat on Port Gamble Bay, trying to row away using makeshift paddles, including a piece of plywood. However, the rowboat soon began to flood with water, forcing the suspects to swim back to land and right into the hands of deputies who arrested them, per KIRO7.
KIRO7.
Yeah. They also note that the suspects were uninjured despite the cold temperatures of the water and booked into Jefferson County Jail. Sergeant Brett Anglin tells the outlet that the SUV would be impounded for processing, and it's not clear if the homeowner's jewelry was ever recovered.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Did they? I was like, the rowboat's sinking if they've got all that gold.
Yeah, I know. Who
That's
knows?
heavy.
All right, number three, and finally, $3,600 a leg.
Okay.
Two friends who were Taiwanese college students identified as Zhang and Lao, both 23, hatched a scheme of an alleged plot to collect more than $1 million in insurance payouts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, prosecutors claim Zhang took out 8 insurance policies in the days before immersing his legs in a bucket of dry ice for 10 hours, per Taiwan News.
What?
At a hospital, he allegedly claimed to have suffered from extreme cold while riding on a scooter with Lau at night. Hospital staff didn't buy it.
Was he wearing shorts?
It was well above freezing in Taipei on January 26, 2023, the day Zhang claimed to have been riding around the city. Okay, the Taiwan Criminal Investigation Bureau says in a release. Staff also noted Zhang's feet had frostbite that was neat and symmetrical with no socks or shoe marks.
Oh.
They amputated Zhang's legs below the calf as required, but recorded the case to the police, who seized a polystyrene box for dry ice and a plastic bucket as part of their investigation. Meanwhile, Zhang received only $7,200 insurance payout.
And he lost his legs.
Insurance providers denied additional claims as the timings so soon after the policies went into effect raised their suspicion.
Wow.
That $7,200 will now be seized. Both Zhang and Lau were arrested. They're charged with fraud and aiding and abetting serious injury.
Here's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Would they flip a coin? Who's going to lose their legs for the $1 million or what?
It's coming.
Okay.
This is where it gets really good.
This is where it gets good?
Oh, yeah. Here's the kicker. Prosecutors allege Lau was an active participant. After losing money trading cryptocurrency, he allegedly persuaded Zhang into action, claiming gang members were after him and tricked him into signing a note saying he owed Lau nearly $800,000.
Oh, my God.
Prosecutors allege Lau then used cable ties to restrain Zhang to a chair and took photos and videos of him with his feet immersed in dry ice, per Taiwan News.
Wow.
The outlet adds police ultimately found the pair did ride on a scooter in Taipei on the date in question. However, they said it was a trip to buy dry ice.
Oh, my gosh. No wonder he lost all his crypto. This guy is not smart.
No, that I think I'm going to put this in maybe the top 3 dumbest criminals that I've reported on.
I still can't get over the fact that he lost his legs.
I know.
Bless his heart.
for $1 million, well, actually for $500,000.
Yeah, they would have to split it.
Oh my gosh.
Not worth it.
Nope.
Not worth it.
Dumber.
What was his name? Lau? Yang?
Zhang.
Zhang.
Yeah.
It's Zhang. It's not worth it.
No. Dude, come on.
Well, if you have a bless your heart, or you know somebody's heart who needs blessing, hopefully you don't know anybody who's putting their feet in dry ice.
Yeah, stay away from the dry ice.
All you got to do is go to hitchedtohomicide.com. When you get there, there's a pull-down menu, and while you're there, you can also suggest a case or tell us about your brush with true crime.
Please do.
That's my amazing husband out there.
That's my beautiful bride in the booth.
Join us next time on Hitched to Homicide.
Bye, y'all.
The Sherwin-Williams Summer Sale is here. Get 30% off select paints and stains, or 35% off our newest product, Emerald Symmetry, July 17th through the 27th. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.